Oh. I forgot everything I ever knew. Good morning and welcome to everyone. Thank you for coming today. Bienvenidos a todos aquí. We're glad you're with us, whether in person, here at the Aldea, or on Zoom. Nos alegra que estés con nosotros, ya sea en persona aquí o en la aldea o on Zoom. Unitarian Universalist congregations are places where we can bring our whole selves and be accepted as we are, with love and friendship. Here in San Miguel, in our fellowship, we strive to offer the same open and inviting space to everyone who comes and joins us. Before we enter our worship time, there are just a few announcements. Antes de empezamos con el servicio, tengo unos anuncios. Edith Sanchez, where's Edith? There she is. We'll have tickets available after the service today for the Youth Symphonic Orchestra of San Miguel and the Youth and Younger Orchestra of Querétaro, who will perform music from Mahler, Bartók, Beethoven, and famous films this coming Thursday, June 19th at 6:30 p.m. at the Angela Peralta Theater. The cost is just 200 pesos, so please go enjoy this. Edith and Mary Lou's son, Sebastian. I got to you too late. Will perform, so that's another reason to go. If you're a regular, you know Sebastian, as he frequently leads us in our covenant. He's a regular participant in Young Explorers and helps as an usher in many roles. So please go and let him know that there's lots of friends there to hear him. Edith will be over at the social justice table during coffee hour to sell tickets. After the service, those on Zoom are invited to stay connected and visit with others in the main room for discussion. And if you are a visitor on Zoom, you can type your name into the chat box so people will know who you are and where you're from, and you can join the discussion. And those who are with us at the Aldea, obviously, join us for coffee and cookies afterwards, and then check out our membership and welcome table off to the right, buy tickets, find out information on membership and the Social Justice Foundation as well. If we have any visitors here today, and if you're willing, would you stand so that we can see who you are, and we'll know that we'll have seen you already and can greet you during coffee hour if you don't mind standing. Hello, hello, you have a couple, thank you. And all of us here who are regular attendees, make sure you say hi to them and find out a little bit who they are and where they're from. We do record our Sunday in-person services, and you can find a link to these on our website, UUFSMA.org. On the website, you can find out information about upcoming events and ongoing activities, and more information about pledging and joining. So now that I've shared the announcements, I invite all of us to quiet our minds and our bodies. And if you forgot your cell phone, so that we can all be fully present for today's services. Now, I need you. All my fault, sorry. Takes me 2 weeks to forget everything. Perfect. We light our chalice each Sunday as a shared symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Let us open our senses to take in the beauty. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. And let us open our hearts to love one another. Thank you. You can put that out. That's all now. Thank you. That's his first time lighting candles. I'd like to share this poem from Mary Oliver, and she is one of my very favorites. She always reminds me to take joy in just being alive, which I can often forget to do. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the birch and the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, and walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches. And they call again. It's simple, they say. You too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. She can put into words the peace and joy that we can find just being alive in this world. And in the spirit of shining, let's join our voices together in song for hymn 118, "This Little Light." The words will appear on the screen and are in your hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit and remain so for the covenant. This is the Spanish. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
You may be seated. Thank you. So we enter now into a very special time in our service, a time when members and friends share with our community the significant joys, sorrows, and concerns that they are experiencing. If you'd like to share a joy or concern on another Sunday, you can send an email to Reverend Tom before that Sunday, or when you arrive, you can fill out a joy or concern card, which you'll find on the welcome table. Be sure you give it to an usher so they'll bring it up and give it to the service leader for that day. If you're on Zoom, you can enter it into the chat box now, and Diego will be watching for them and get them up to me in some magical way. We light a candle of joy today for 2 birthdays on the same day. Hillary Toyrilla, who's with us today, yay, Hillary, and Betty Cuellar are celebrating their birthdays. We won't say which ones. Margot Johnson, we are happy to say, is back in town after being away for medical treatment. And she is beginning to get around, slowly but surely on her own 2 feet. We share a concern that hopefully is becoming a joy. Maxine Arnold, who's been a longtime member and has been living alone, as many of us do, getting into her 80s and 90s. She fell and I believe broke a leg bone or a hip. I'm not exactly sure, but she had to have immediate surgery 2 weeks ago. She's now at Sophie Cares and is being well taken care of. There has been a GoFundMe page begun for her. You might have seen that in the Google group. I will ask for that to be repeated and perhaps put in the newsletter just so more people know about that. She certainly lived here many, many years and is probably running low on all the funds needed. And Arlena Lawrence is making good progress after her fall, and she's doing rehab at home after her hip replacement and beginning to feel much better and getting around. Our concerns for one another don't just extend to those in our community here, but out into the world. As we have for over 3 years, we light our yellow and blue candle for the people on both sides suffering from the unprovoked war by Russia against the people of Ukraine. We hope for a commitment to finding a peaceful and just solution. And we light our red candle, as we have for over 2.5 years now, for the immense suffering and now starvation occurring among the Palestinian people in Gaza. We light this candle for all of those on both sides who have been killed or wounded, and the so many thousands suffering a desperate humanitarian crisis. We light a candle of grave concern for the upsurge in anti-Semitic attacks in the U.S., most recently by a man who threw fire on up to 16 people in Colorado who were peacefully bearing witness for the release of Jewish prisoners held by Hamas. We extend our prayers for the many who were severely burned and who are now receiving care. We light a candle of concern for all of those being unfairly treated and harmed, harassed by the current U.S. administration's actions, and for the flagrant disregard for the Constitution and the rights which we've so long assumed our Constitution could protect. Regardless of political affiliations, our hearts hurt for the suffering caused by bigotry, greed, and such hatred for people simply seeking to live. Our final candle is for all those joys, sorrows, and concerns that have not been shared but are held unspoken in our hearts. As you listen now to the meditation music, you can come forward if you wish to light a candle of your own. Albert Einstein famously said, there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other is as though everything is a miracle. That brings us to our next hymn, Where Do We Come From? You can remain seated for this hymn and a video that you will see initially to teach you not just the words that may be new to many of us. It just has a few phrases, but the melody changes. So the video will help give you confidence to sing with joy and energy and all kinds of good things. Perhaps in the future we'll be brave enough to try it as a round. It's very pretty that way, but those are always a bit daunting. After the video, we'll sing through it once with Paula playing, and you will see the words on the screen. But again, you can just remain seated for this hymn.
Hi, my name is Miguel, and I'm the alto section leader for the UUCB choir, Luminescence. We will be singing hymn number 1003 from the Teal hymnal called Where Do We Come From? This hymn has 4 lines. I'm going to sing each of the lines one time right now, and then I will sing each line 2 times, and I hope that you'll join me. During the services, when you hear this hymn as a round or as a solo, I hope that you will join in any way that feels good to you. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? The second line is, where do we come from? The third line is, mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. The fourth line is, where do we come from? Where are we going? Let's practice. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
very happy to introduce, virtually, our minister for today, Reverend Sharon Dittmar, with her sermon, Married to Amazement.
I choose to be married to amazement. I chose actually other ideas first. For example, I tried preparing for the worst, but it didn't protect me from what could and actually did go wrong. Turns out I actually wasn't imaginative enough. And beyond that, it was actually just exhausting and depressing. I had to remain vigilant, focused on doomed potential futures. That's a lot of worrying that goes nowhere. After that, I actually tried denial, and that got me into flat out trouble, not attending to the obvious and the necessary. Much later in my life, I chose a middle way that I like to try and keep to this day, where I'm aware of the valley of loss and pain. It's always potentially there on one side. And then every gift and opportunity also always potentially with us on the other side. And then somewhere in the wide middle, a chosen path of being present with wonder, gratitude, amazement. The great Dr. Abraham Joshua Heschel said in his Yom Kippur essay, "Scratch the skin of any person and you come across sorrow, frustration, unhappiness. People are pretentious. Everybody looks proud. Inside, they are heartbroken." From the inside seat of 18 years of parish ministry, actually 19 years, I observed members and their families struggle with life-threatening illnesses, with addiction, with affairs, financial ruin, traumatic injury and accidents, dementia, even the death of children, which I will just never fully understand. It all can happen. I have been with people as it all happened. And it was from this seat, journeying with these teachers, the members, that I learned I could never fully prepare for all possibilities, nor actually know which ones to expect when, if ever, might become part of my personal story. Early in my ministry, I remember visiting an older couple in the hospital. You have to imagine baby minister me 30 years ago, no gray hair, not yet ordained, in a chaplain residency program. The woman said to me, looking at her dying husband, "How could this happen to us? We were missionaries." I remember simultaneously realizing death is inevitable and uncontrollable, a hungry, barren autumn, and that no good works nor benevolent God offers immortality in this life. I also realized, looking into her grieving face, that there's nothing for me to say other than, "I am sorry. This must be hard, so hard for you." And then I just sat with her. Bad things happen to good people, and wonderful things happen to people who behave very badly. And everything, every possible combination of some parts of that in between. From this, I've concluded that neither I nor anyone else is fully in control. There we have it. Rather, we are in a river of life. And there are floods and droughts and lazy calm days and flashing storms and seasonal changes. And we can put up some guardrails like, life insurance, wills, such things. We can ask for help as often as we need it, even to the, quote, annoyance of others, whether they be financial planners, therapists, or medical providers. But when the lights go out, when the hungry bear comes, we will not have prepared for everything. Attempting to be fully prepared is impossible. It would require that constant depressing vigilance I told you about. It would be a deadening way to live and a great way to ruin the possible beautiful now. Some years ago, I took part in a local leadership program, and we were asked to do an exercise that I actually hated. We were instructed to walk around to 30 people we had just met, look them in the eye and say either, "I trust you," or "I don't trust you." I know neither the benefit nor the purpose of this exercise. I certainly remember its multiple cringeworthy moments and the response of one classmate. This one classmate, the shortest man in the class, one who could be considered vulnerable given his stature, I mean his size, who had to look up to everyone, said, "I trust you." He said that to everyone he encountered. And when the instructor later asked him why, he replied, "It doesn't matter actually if I trust you. I trust myself. And I trust myself to figure it out. So I trust you." He changed the frame of the entire exercise to empower himself. Much later, I learned that he grew up as an immigrant in a biracial family amidst poverty and multiple challenges, and then made a series of mistakes like many of us do, and he still figured it out. These days, he does not waste time remaining vigilant and worrying about the future. He chooses to name his frame and believes that when problems arise, he will figure it out. And every time I have seen him encounter a problem, he's figured it out. And he actually chooses to live loud and proud in the present and have fun. He is one of those enthusiastic party people, one of the most enthusiastic people. And it became clear to me over time that this is a choice he makes, not based on ignorance or a life of swimming privilege, but knowledge and commitment to the present and belief in himself. It is amazing to me how one awkward exercise I still would not ask anyone else to do could unexpectedly teach me the importance of choosing my own frame, the power actually to choose my own frame. What I learned from all these teachers I told you about, whether they be members or this person I met in a leadership class or a couple in a hospital, is to love the now, to dig deeply into it and savor it, make time for fun and friends and family, for building community, living into one's own joy, celebrating those hobbies, relishing the uniqueness of you. When I became a minister, I used to see this quote by the writer and literature professor Joseph Campbell everywhere I turned. You probably did too if you're of a certain age. "Follow your bliss." I don't see this quote on walls anymore, but Campbell was onto something. In the words of theologian and civil rights leader Howard Thurman, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. What makes me come alive is wonder, is living married to amazement. I find it in the present, the eternal now. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what's it going to be like? That cottage of darkness? And therefore I look upon everything as a siblinghood, and I look upon time as no more than an idea, and I consider eternity as another possibility, and I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy, and as singular, and each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does toward silence. In each body, a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was married to amazement. I took the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I've made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. I want to be, as I told you, married to amazement. I want to take the world in my arms. I don't want to just be a visitor or a guest. I want to go out and submerge myself in this wonder. To do this, I must take one day at a time. I can't rush things, can't multitask. I have to live into the present. For example, when I go out walking, I do a simple exercise taught to me by my colleague, the Reverend Phil Lund. I consider sight, sound, smell, sense, sky, and stance. I look at my surroundings, I look at them, I listen. I inhale deeply for scent. I feel the air on my skin. Is it humid? Is it crisp? I look at the sky and I feel my body. How am I walking? And please, if you try this, adapt this exercise to whatever level of mobility and sensory function available to you. Even if there is but one of these that works for you, you can still take part. You know, I used to walk with my head down, lost in thought, kind of like this. Generally, I was thinking about the past or worrying about the future like you do, or at least like I did. And with this exercise, though, I'm in the present. I smell rain in the air, you know, or decaying earth that lets me know summer is ending. I see the leaves drop, and then I know it's fall. I watch buds with new flowers in the springtime. Smell the rain on the air. When walking with me these days, one needs to put up with the shouts of delight as I see things, as I hear, as I smell, as I touch leaves when I walk by. In fact, I was walking out with a friend recently and I was like, oh, look at the beautiful cornfield. And she's like, Sharon, I'm from Iowa. It's just a cornfield. And I'm like, but look how beautiful it is in the light. She's like, I'm from Iowa. I'm like, well, I'm from Ohio and it's still beautiful here today. Because it was beautiful in the moment. And yes, I've probably seen millions of cornfields. Sometimes when I go out on these walks, I check my stance. That's always an easy one for me. Like I'll go out and I'll be like, I'm limping. Why am I limping? And when this happens, I check in more deeply. Like, how is it with my body? Am I like holding my gut all tight? Is my neck slumped back? What's going on with me? Am I present to my body, my feelings? Not only in my heart, but how my body feels. And at least once on every walk, I look up to the sky. Is it clear blue? Is it fully overcast, foggy gray? Or are there puffy evening clouds with a breakthrough last shaft of pink light? Just lovely. It's when I look at the sky that I'm filled actually with the most wonder. And I think of what a gift it is to be alive and how everything changes. Every walk is a new discovery, new adventure, even if it is on the same path. And I am reminded that every moment passes, every moment, the bad ones, the good ones, the great ones too. This has taught me to be grateful for what is. If anything is good now, I'm grateful for it. I mean, there's problems, but what's good? And to remember that nothing lasts, so to honor the now and to give and receive love where I find it right now. I remind myself nothing is given, nothing, and to reach out for what is now. I don't want to mislead you, though, into thinking that because I choose wonder, it is all wonderful all the time. I have losses and grief too. I'm scared about the state of American democracy, the war in Ukraine. I worry about deforestation and species extinction and armed rebels, the M23 and the Democratic Republic of Congo. I worry about the over-incarceration of Black, brown, and poor people in the United States and my spectacularly crabby and physically failing mother. While writing this sermon, actually in the middle of writing it, I learned that a dear friend from long ago had died. Someone who changed my life for good is now gone. I too am scared. I too spend time heartbroken. 19th century essayist and philosopher Henry David Thoreau wrote about wanting to, quote, suck out all the marrow of life. For him, this included living a quiet, he called it self-reliant life on Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts. I say he called it because he had a lot of help when he was living in Walden Pond. Don't be deceived. He had help. My definition is a bit different from his, but I too understand wanting to suck the marrow out of life in my own chosen way. I recently watched a video by slam poet Andrea Gibson. In it, they speak of going home with a woman, and before their first kiss, the woman runs to get a stethoscope so that Andrea can hear the woman's heartbeat faster when they kiss. The story is just so beautiful to me. What a delightful way to suck the marrow out of life with one kiss, the first kiss. It is so present to the moment, so simple, so beautiful, so blissful and alive. Here's a tweet from Andrea Gibson from just a few months ago. Awkwardness is my new drug of choice. Nothing gets me higher than uncomfortable situations. In today's newsletter, I wrote about how I've been on a mission to embarrass myself regularly. Have a beautiful awkward day, everyone. Heart emoji. Their newsletter from September 13th contains this story. Years ago on tour in Europe, my friends and I dared our friend Katie to walk through a crowded travel plaza with a 20-foot strand of toilet paper dragging from her shoe, complaining loudly in a deep Midwestern accent about how there was no place in the world good as America. She made a humiliating spectacle of herself. We were on high on that embarrassment all day. There are so many ways to live in wonder and bliss, whether it is to be awesomely awkward, to be alive as the world collides around us. I hope for each of us, to take care during these hard times in this holiday season with so many stretches and stresses, but also some time for often some good moments. I hope you reach for the present wonder as often as possible. Maybe even experiment with humiliating spectacle and awkwardness. Don't worry if you drop something on holiday. Don't worry if the roast is ruined, the glass broken. Don't worry if you fall off the steps. Don't worry. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And however you do it, make it a great day. May it always be so.
Wasn't that wonderful? We've come to the time in our service that we have come to call our time for generosity. Once upon a time, most folks used the offering plate to fulfill their pledges of financial support. Nowadays, lots of us click on a website or set up automatic transfers from our checking accounts. Some of us still write a monthly check and pay our church bill along with all the others. But passing the offering plate was never just a practical exercise. It's always been a ritual in every congregation, every denomination. Even if your pledge is paid up, it's still worthwhile for you to bring here just a few pesos to drop into the plate, the basket, as a ritual reminder of the form of love that we call generosity. Let it be a reminder to us that after meeting our obligations to ourselves and our households and the communities to which we belong, we must still keep our capacity to give. The practice of giving, until it is second nature and first response, helps bring forth the realm of love. Your offerings will now be most gratefully received. So our closing hymn is also one that might be new to some of you, although I think we've sung it before on a number of occasions. This includes also a video that you can sing along to. Feel free to sing and clap or sway or whatever it is that moves you in the music. It's hymn, we don't have that hymnal out, but you'll see the words on the screen. It's When the Spirit Says Do. I offer these closing words to all of you who came today and enjoyed the service with us. Go out into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all persons. Please remain seated for the postlude.